Yeah.
All right, welcome everyone. Please welcome
Vasu.
Vasu and Emmanuel. Thank you very much to sit down with us. It's our first podcast of the day at the Entry Summit on this month of February. So kind of a cloudy day today in Toronto, but let's get down to business. You guys were having a conversation, and my intention is just to pursue that, do some test sound with you guys, and I'm sure it's going to be a really nice podcast anyway. So maybe just give us an introduction about who you are, what's the mission you're on, on that field today.
No, thanks so much for having me, guys. It's been a fan of what you guys are doing, and I like the idea. There's a lot of that we need to do to help manufacturers.
Sure.
Through that digital transformation. Myself, Vasu, Daggupaty, I'm the manager of partnerships and investment at the Rogers Cybersecure Catalyst. Okay. We are a non-profit institute at Toronto Metropolitan
But
University.
doing investment with manufacturer?
No, we support manufacturers, and we're laser focused on cybersecurity.
Neat.
And that's really what we do. From top to bottom, we have workforce training. We do corporate training and upskilling. We do innovation and across the board. And a lot of the solutions that we see are really meant to help manufacturers understand what their cybersecurity risks are.
Yep.
And then be able to do something about it. You know, I say all the time, everyone is cyber scared.
Sure.
Very few people are cyber aware, and even fewer are cyber prepared. And that's our job. We see ourselves as trying to make Canada cyber safe.
To bring the level of awareness about what that is,
That's right.
Bring that up. And the cybersecurity is kind of a new field.
Yeah.
So it has to be truly hard to build up some sort of a program training because it evolves so fast, so quick. So how could a manufacturer you guys are helping could bring this in their digital culture?
Yeah, no, that's a great question. Thanks for asking. Because one of the things, and we were talking a little bit about this earlier, but one of the problems is the skill set isn't there.
Sure.
The barriers to adoption we see are really twofold. On one side, we say, you know, I'm aware that there's a cybersecurity problem. I know what my risks are.
Yep.
What do I do about it? Where do I go? Who do I turn to? And so internally in the organization, there isn't someone who's an expert in cybersecurity. Fine. I don't expect anyone to have an expert in cybersecurity. That's really
it's
hard.
kind of funny. Just, I don't want to interrupt you, but now in Quebec province, there's a new law. And they have to mandate someone with the hat of cybersecurity. And if the CIO of the business is not doing it, he had until last 25 September, I believe so, he's in charge.
See, this is
he's the person in charge is the CIO, even if he has no clue about the word cybersecurity.
This is the problem. So regulation is coming, right?
Yep.
People are aware of what kind of a risk happens. Maybe they've already been attacked by criminals out there, right?
And they have no clue about it, maybe?
Maybe they have a clue. Maybe they haven't had a clue. Maybe they've disclosed it. Maybe they haven't disclosed it. There's a great deal of, shame because it's like, oh, this has happened to me. Now where do I go? What do I do? There's so little information. And so...
But you need to share these kind of story when it happened to you. Don't feel the shame. You need to share it because we need to learn from the experience of the others within the cybersecurity. You don't have to experience every bad thing to become someone good at it.
It's absolutely true. Every bad guy that wins means that they get stronger. And that means that they can attack more and they can go and pick off larger and larger organizations, affect more and more people. And that's really what it is.
But
we're hurting people, right? With these cybersecurity criminals.
But if I'm not mistaken, Vasu, you guys are conducting audits, cybersecurity audit, to make sure that, to evaluate the threshold of what's really at stake or at risk in manufacturers. So what would you say that you see most often? Is it they have nothing at all prepared, or they have a certain level of preparedness? How do you assess this?
So there's a couple of things that we do. One, we do a lot of webinars and seminars to be able to say, okay, you're a manufacturer. What is a relevant cybersecurity posture for your organization? What does that look like for you? In many cases, what's your risk? What is your business continuity plan? Disaster recovery. We can bring in an entire organization, and that's not just the CIO, that's not just the tech people, but it's the entire organization.
That's the job of everyone out there.
That's the point. Because what we find more often, it's not really one technology is going to solve the problem. It's not one software, one piece of hardware. It's not a process. It's really people have to be aware.
How they're
Behavior.
gonna behave.
It's
That's
like,
why the digital culture is so important.
yeah,
Being aware, taking a decision on a day-to-day based on all of these insights you have.
it's kind of like when you think about our own house. Some of us are going to say, okay, if I lock the door, that's enough. Some of us will say, I need a full alarm system and I need armed guards and I need a guard dog. Different risk tolerance for different people.
Sure.
But we're accepting that risk. Our insurance company is telling us, okay, if you have a guard dog there, I'll give you a discount on your risk, on your insurance. Right? These are the kinds of conversations that are happening. We are all living somewhere where this is an industry that we're aware of, so that's why we have some awareness. Cybersecurity is brand new for so many people.
Sure.
On every side. So that's why they're all. What is the risk that we're actually taking? What is the risk that we know that we're accepting? What is the risk that we don't know we're accepting?
Is it because of the lack of time, resources, knowledge? Like, what is it that is the biggest blocker?
It's all three of those things. That's what we find. Nicolas, you were saying digital transformation. Everyone's trying to transform their business to keep up with and be able to attack new market opportunities.
Yep.
Right? Global market opportunities.
Change their business model,
Absolutely.
reach the youngest generation, the new ways to stop selling object and sell more service and so on. You were discussing about this guy with a factory. He was not able to use his whole line of production. And we were discussing the model as a manufacturer as a service. So
That's right.
I'm not using it. So people want to evolve with it. But, but you were saying with the question of Emmanuel, how do you grab that? And I'm sure the people in charge of these companies you're meeting feel kind of it's a Frenchy word. I'm sorry about that, but an imposter.
Yeah,
I can say
absolutely. That's really what we find. It's if you go to a large service provider, a large tech company, and you say I have a cybersecurity problem, what are they going to say? I want to sell you this. I want to sell you that. I want to sell you this software, sell you this hardware, give you this service, right? And
there is no magic solution, though.
that's right. And more importantly, there's no internal capacity within the organization to be able to say, yeah, that's a great solution. That is the right solution for my business. That's the right size of solution. That's the right cost of solution. And those are the right risks that I want to mitigate. But if you don't know that, if you don't have that knowledge, if you don't have that awareness of what's there, then you can't be an intelligent customer. You can't be a sophisticated buyer. You can't have a good conversation with some of those technology providers and partners.
And
to be
bring
able to
this back to your organization so
Absolutely.
they have a cultural change about the behavior
Exactly.
they need to have. And quite often what I really like is talking about digital culture. And one of the things when we're doing keynotes or speaking, I'm telling, manufacturing 4.0, blah, 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 but you cannot buy it.
That's right.
It's not something
right.
you can budget. I say, okay, guys, today, this year will be 4.0. Here's $1 million. I don't want to hear about it anymore. Next project.
No.
It's not how it
And
works.
it's not 100% guaranteed that you're risk free afterwards, because you always have how do you say the weakest link? Like
Yeah,
it could just
absolutely.
and it's usually a human.
And that's exactly, I'm so glad you brought that up because that's, back to what
We
you guys
didn't
are
practice
saying.
before.
And he's part of the team.
But it's, you guys are,
Stole my line.
you guys are
Sorry, go.
right. It's culture change, right? It's culture. How do I change? Digital transformation is nothing brand new it's business transformation.
Correct.
That just happens to involve new tools, which happen to be technology.
And it
Yeah,
doesn't
yeah.
happen overnight.
Nice to see.
It's
Yeah.
a long process. That's why I like the word cultural change.
Yeah.
And the big difference between that and a project, usually you have a project, okay, we're going to scope it, we're going to have deliverables, we're going to have scheduling, we're going to have, a budget. And the most important thing is we need to have an end date. And by the end of the date, we need to have the value of that project.
Yeah.
That's not what it is. It's like continuous improvement.
Yeah,
Within
absolutely.
a business, it never ends. That's why it has to be part of the culture. With the knowledge, the sensibilization you're doing, what would be one or two nice tip you would give to any high management director or even any employees in their business to sort of begin to be more aware, or where should we start?
Well, I'd say start with the Rogers Cybersecure Catalyst. That's what I would say. And I
Great.
don't say that because,
Cha-ching.
we have the solution for everybody, because we don't, right? We're a nonprofit institute. We do workforce training. We do corporate upskilling, right? And we have an innovation where we're taking startups and being able to try and fit them to solutions that are needed in the market.
Oh,
right.
nice.
So we kind of span this gamut of solutions, but really, I'd say if there's one thing that we do is we help organizations be more confident about their cybersecurity needs.
Just that is
Right,
a
that's enough.
big step.
That's it. And then they can see, okay, now that I understand what I need, I know who to hire. I
Okay.
know what kind of software and hardware and services that I need to get and buy, right? And I know how to be able to put that into my organization, who to train so that they can take advantage of it.
Okay.
And so it's really, this is only the success of this digital transformation is only going to work if it's the entire organization that's bought in.
Absolutely.
C-suite, middle managers, frontline workers, everybody, right?
Sure.
And so that's only going to happen when everyone's on the same page. So we make sure that there's training that's accessible to everyone. We make sure that we're filling that talent gap so that there are available cybersecurity professionals out there for companies to hire into their own organizations who can be that first point of contact and say, okay, here's how you design a cybersecurity policy. Here's how we maintain it. Here's how we update it. Here are the tools that we need in order to be able to drive it.
So that should be kind of the first step. Train yourself, improve your level of awareness, and quite often do your risk management. And quite often the biggest risk in life is the thing you don't know that you don't know it.
Exactly.
This is the worst risk because you have no clue that it doesn't exist. So bring your level of awareness in a much higher level, so at least you know what you don't know.
Yeah.
You are aware that it exists.
But even worse than that is not knowing something that you think you know for sure.
Oh, that's
so
true.
you're
Yeah.
going
You
in
have
a way, say, I know
misconception.
where I'm going,
Yeah.
but you
It's even
really
worse.
don't know.
You're right. It's even
That's right.
worse.
So you think you know but you actually don't. No, but back to the digital transformation. If digital transformation is just business transformation with new tools and technology, cybersecurity is just risk management in the digital world. That's all we're talking
That's
about.
it.
And you can go to any CFO and you can have a conversation with them about risk management, and they will tell you all of these things. Digital risk management, cybersecurity, shouldn't be a black hole. Shouldn't be, I don't know, right? And that's what we're trying to change. It has to be something that you have a handle on.
It is so important what you guys are doing for the businesses. It's really important. Within all of the conversation, the work you've been doing, what still remain the biggest paradigm? That the people, it doesn't change. That's the way it is. Is there something that doesn't make sense anymore that blocks you to move forward with the mission you're pursuing?
You know what, Nicholas? I think that you said it before. We have to make every cyber attack aware to everyone.
Okay.
Right? Make it public, make it aware, right? And one of the things that we're saying is, a lot of people will say threat actors when they're talking about people who do cyber attacks. We should be calling them criminals, okay? Because at the end of the day, there is a human being out there that has malicious intent and is coming to take something away from someone else, right? That's
It's
what
robbery.
It is. That is it. This is not some technology thing. This is not some mystical gray area.
No, absolutely
There is
not.
a human being that has said, I want to steal. I want to hurt someone else
And
out
make
there.
my living out of it, man.
Absolutely.
In the days, this was in the Far West, people were having guns, going in the bank, and then rob the bank.
That's right.
In the digital world now, they can spread that kind of
Absolutely.
mentality everywhere. So, how can you convince someone, let's say a bank,
Yeah.
which have their reputation, you need to inspire confidence,
Yeah.
and so on, they have a cyber attack?
Yeah. Well, see, this
How
is the
could they
funny thing.
decide on the C-suite table, are we doing a press release? Are we advising our customer that all of their data might have been stolen? We have information. So how can you convince them to just do a press release and spread that story, even if they truly feel the shame?
Yeah, no, that's a great question. And to be honest, either you do it to your customers, or that criminal is going to do it to your customers.
Even worse way.
Right? Or they're either going to disclose it, or they're going to attack customers. And then people are going to say, where did you get this information from? And then the bank is going to look stupid, because they're going to say, oh, well, actually 6 months ago, we actually had a incident and we didn't tell anyone. Right? But that's the thing, right?
But there's a stigma coming along with it.
There is.
Sorry. But for me, one of the worst part is because even for us at Garage & Co. with our incubator and non-for-profit, we're sometimes trying to figure out what can we do to provide our startups that are just beginning. What can we provide them? Like, information-wise is one thing, but we need to take out the stigmas of, oh, it's going to be pricey,
yes,
or you need to be an expert at it, or wait until you're at a certain size to do it. Like, how can we take all of these stigmas and just tell manufacturers, like startups, like well-established one, you can always come and get something done. Because I was talking with a specialist not long ago, actually in Toronto, but it was with a Montrealer, and he was saying it's just a question of time and capacity. Because if let's say cyber criminals were able right now to have access to everybody that had a super low level of security, they would do it. It's just they don't have time and the means. Yeah. So it's not because they say, I won't do you because you look
nice. More the means than the time.
Because
you decide where you put your time. So everybody's busy, man.
So it's just,
even the criminals, that's right.
So it's just a question of time before it happens. So now we're in that era where we need to figure out how to, in the risk assessment part, where does it fit? But we need to put a price tag on it, and a process plan to say how it's gonna evolve in our organization, who's gonna be in charge. Like, how long would you say it would take between the moment where you can start training to the point where they can put something into place that's gonna be
creating value to protect yourself? Or
if you make a decision as an organization, you can have an improved cybersecurity posture in as little as 3 months.
Oh, wow. That's a good tagline to sell it.
But I mean, it's not hard. You just have to, like, there are so many. I mean, we see the startups that we see coming through. They're trying to sell to SMBs out there, a lot of them in the manufacturing sector, and saying, hey, we've built this solution for enterprise level clients, but we know that we're a small startup. We can't serve them. We can show you how you have to build your internal processes so that you're safer.
It's not one fit all process.
That's right. And it's like, okay, well, some risks you're going to accept, and you're going to say, okay, it's not worth the price for me to try and mitigate every single risk out there. Some risks you're going to say, okay, that's a big risk. That's critical to my business. That's critical to my brand. I need to fix that. And now you can have a sophisticated discussion and say, okay, how much is that worth to me? How much is my brand and that customer base worth to me? So if someone comes to you with a price that's 3 times, you can say, I'm sorry, that doesn't make sense. But now you can negotiate. Now you can have a realistic discussion with a service provider, or find another service provider who will be able to have that sophisticated discussion with you.
Absolutely. And is it a break? Because there is two ways of spending money in a business. So there's expense and there is investment, right? So cybersecurity is on which hand?
Both.
No, I you know what? Let's again use that risk hat, right? You can the whole world is full of risks. I just drove my car here today.
You insured?
Right, exactly. There's a ton of risks that I take when I do that.
That's
so
life,
many
man.
of them I just accept naturally. It's part of life, and we move on. And then there's so many that I'm like, okay, I'm not. I could run that red light. There's a risk there. Do I take that risk? No.
But
because that's not a risk I'm willing to live with.
Getting back to my question, though, when I pay my insurance, I don't see that as an investment.
That's right.
Until you claim.
Right? But this is the point.
Maybe. So is it a break for you guys to get people into it? So, they see it as a cost.
Yeah. I think it is 100% a cost.
Okay.
But the difference, and I think this is really important for Canadian manufacturers and Canadian small and medium businesses, if you are going to try to attack global markets and your products are going to fly all over the world, they're going to touch a lot of different hands before they get integrated into their final place, you can represent your products as being a level up if they're cyber safe. If you are cyber safe, if you're telling people, I'm okay, here are the risks that I'm accepting, but here are the risks that I protected myself and you all as my customers against, that can be a value proposition. That can be
an investment for your value proposition to your end customer. I really like the shift you're making.
You know, back to what you're saying, Nicolas. If we're in the Wild West,
yep,
right, and we've got clients all over this lawless world. If you're one of the first people that can say, I'm fine, I'm safe, right? I have the armored carrier that's going to be able to protect
Fort
your
Lamo.
assets, right? Then, hey, you know what? Maybe that will move some of the business your way instead of
Towards
your
you.
competitors.
Absolutely. So it might be one of the paradigm shift just to go from the cost to the investment, because your brand, your value proposition can get somewhere else, and everything get digitalized these days. There is technology everywhere. You know, Vasu, you know, it's really bubbling in my head. Next question I have for you is, what would be the author, the conference, or one source of inspiration related to your field of business that you would recommend us to go and have a look at?
Yeah, well, I mean, there's a couple that we're engaged with. There's right here in Toronto. There's the Toronto Area Security Clutch. So this is an organization of cybersecurity professionals that have been meeting for 20 years, and they just get together and they talk about all of the different risks, all of the different technologies that they're seeing, which are vulnerable, which aren't vulnerable.
We can follow them on LinkedIn, Facebook, whatever.
And I would say in Quebec, I know that Cybersecure is a fantastic organization. A number of our own startup companies have been through from
Cyber and Go, you said?
Cybersecure.
Echo, okay.
Yeah.
And also in Secam.
Yeah, in Secam, where we're partnering with those guys. There's a conference that those guys, a good former partner is putting on there in Ottawa. That's coming up in April. That we're looking forward to going.
Sorry to interrupt, but are you all part of a super cluster, a Canadian super cluster?
We are part of an engine, but we're not part of the super cluster formally. Okay. Yeah. So we partner with everyone and anyone who's interested, because you know this is a problem that affects everyone.
Absolutely.
And you said you're going to partner up with Instacam for an event.
So that would be the Cybersecurity and Identity Summit that's coming up in April, and that's in Ottawa. I know that Instacam was a big supporter of that. I think they still are a big supporter of that. And Cybersecure is a big one. I know that last fall, for example, there was a big conference that happened in Montreal that was formerly that was in Europe, and they brought that over. So,
and it should not be only specialists of cybersecurity that should attend. It could be everyone.
Yeah. Well, what I find is there's two kind of tracks of these conferences. A lot of the cyber security knowledge, best practices, technical expertise, there are a lot of really deep forums for that.
Okay.
But I think what's needed is we need to bring everyone else in.
And make it accessible to them.
And make it, yeah. You took the words right out of my mouth. Accessible to, you're absolutely right. And we don't need to talk.
It's a tough job.
It's a tough job, but that's the only way we're going to get that culture change that we talked about, right? And you know, back to something that Emmanuel was saying earlier about, you know, criminals and how they think, you know, at the end of the day, we've all seen enough gangster movies out there to know if they have it in for you, you're going to get hit, right?
Sure.
But if you are difficult to attack, then they're going to go somewhere else. They're going to find someone else who's an easier target.
Sure.
This is the game. right? This is the game, and a lot. One of the areas that we have been very successful. We have a law enforcement program where we're training law enforcement professionals about
Okay.
how to deal with cyber attacks because they're the first people who get the call.
Usually they
Right.
have no clue.
And
Like,
that's the point.
5 years ago, it happened to me. I had a cybersecurity attack through email, and then they called me over my previous business, and I called the cops.
Yeah,
They had no clue what
Yeah.
to do. This was like 5 years ago.
Yeah.
They told me we'll send you a form and just file a complaint. I was like, what's the next step? He said, we have so many calls that there is, we have a lot of improvement. So thank you for training them and making this cultural change
Yeah.
in that field as well.
well, which is the real point, right? Like our entire society across every level, regulation, legislation, enforcement, business organization, risk management, insurance, everyone has to level up, right? It's everyone's job, it's everyone's problems. Otherwise, we're all unsafe.
Sure. Oh, yeah, and it goes so fast.
Yeah.
It's a huge wave. You cannot stop it. It's either you go with it, you surf it, or you just get whammed with it. Any book you would recommend us?
You know what? A lot of them are very technical that I've been
Something
trying to.
accessible.
That's right. I can't recommend
Like,
something.
where's Waldo?
Yeah.
Could work.
Maybe it sounds like another initiative for us to take on. Right?
Oh,
I like
good,
that.
good. So I need to have some of the benefits of this.
Yeah.
What in your vision of the year to come, what's the next big thing in cybersecurity? Is there not innovation, or is there something new that we should expect in the year to come?
Yeah, no, I think that you're going to see a lot more attacks. You're going to see a lot more attacks on a lot bigger companies.
Okay.
And I think that, everyone's talking about Gen AI. And I think you can see that threat actors, criminals are out there going to be using Gen AI to be able to do some of the low-level phishing attacks and things like that.
Replicating the voice of someone, the voice of your
Maybe
aunt
not
calling
yet.
you.
I think that they'll start with the simple things like texting you and saying, "Oh, your credit card is locked, or your bank card is locked, or your phone,"
Like
right? Like
your-
that.
And it's
kind
a
of
bot
simple
doing it
stuff.
on a massing level.
It'll be easy for them to do. But despite that, and I know it's easy to be, "Oh my God, the sky is falling," right? But there's more good guys out there than bad guys.
Sure.
Right? And guess what? The good guys have more processing power than the bad guys too, right? And
Absolutely.
and so because we all have a vested interest in making sure that this system of free flow movement of goods and services and people stays in place. And every time that there's one of these attacks, it prevents that. And so there's way more people working to put to limit the bad guy's damage than the other way around. So there's hope. This AI thing that I know that a lot of people are worried about, it works both ways.
Absolutely.
Offensive and defensive, it works both ways.
So
Thanks.
we,
Thanks for reassuring.
reassuring, absolutely, and it's still risk management. So
Yeah.
we cannot stop evolution because it's risky.
Yeah.
There is risk everywhere. So we should expect in the year to come maybe more cyber attack using Gen AI as a tool to replicate. I'm not sure if you saw it. I think it was last week. Someone made a call and replicating the voice of Joe Biden.
No.
And they truly had the White House kind of, hey, we're kind of mixed
Yeah.
up here. What's happening? So it can go far
Absolutely.
in the year to come.
No, yeah. And what I will say is what we're going to be doing in the year to come, we have a couple of interesting programs on the innovation side that we're looking to roll out. And really, so two elements, one on corporate training, targeted to advanced manufacturing companies. We want to be able to free webinar and boot camp that they'll be able to register for. They'll be able to learn about what they need to do in order to stay safe. Then we're also doing in collaboration with that what we're calling a challenge, figuring out a big advanced manufacturing challenge, and then bringing innovators in to be able to solve that challenge.
Nice.
And then make it all public so that people understand that there's
So
a
you're-
solution out there that's
You're the
right.
interface between the solutions and the problems.
Sure. And
We hope so.
when you'll organize that event,
Yeah.
please have a call to Emmanuel and myself. It will be a pleasure to participate with you,
Yeah.
help creating content, participate
Fantastic.
to the workshop and so on. So,
Or
Vasu,
even be facilitators. 'cause
Yeah,
sure.
That's what I do.
No, that's fantastic. We'd love to have you guys back.
sure. Hey, Vasu, it was a pleasure meeting you.
Thank you, Nicholas.
Thanks a lot for the conversation.
I'll go with
Really, really nice. So, have a good trade show.
Thank you. Thank you, guys.